So obviously at the weekend, big news. Well, not big news. The big story was UFC 221. Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero. First things first, Yoel Romero missed weight. Yoel Romero missed weight by 3 pounds on the first attempt. They said if he had 2 hours to go and cut it. Now, they said that the hotel from where the scale was, where the weigh-ins were happening, that was a 15-20 minute drive away. So Yoel had 2 hours to lose 3 pounds. But to achieve that, that's really difficult, because what happens is when somebody's cut weight, they push themselves to a limit. Okay, we've been over it many times on this show. You know, the lengths that you go to cut weight, and he couldn't do it. When you get to a point where you actually show up at the arena for the live weighing in front of the world, in front of the nation, not only like in front of me spazzing out on Skype, they're in front of the world. They want to make sure they're on weight. And if they turn up 3 pounds over, I'd say it's because their body has, it's stopped. There comes a certain point where your body just says, that's it, I'm done. I'm not giving up any more water.
Is there a point that, a fighter would say, it's not worth it for me to continue to try to fight this fight of losing the weight, because I know it's going to deplete me enough that it's going to affect my performance the next day? And they almost consciously, do you think a fighter would ever say, hey, fuck it, dude, I'll just miss weight because I want to go out and fight the best I can fight, and I know I'm going to drain myself too much?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a good question. It's not a thought that I've ever had. You got to remember that ultimately Yoel ended up losing 30% of his purse. 30%. That's very
30 or 20.
Pardon me?
It was 30. I thought they lose 20.
No, yeah, on this occasion it was 30%.
Wow.
Because he was 3 pounds over. They said if he can get under 2 pounds, it'll be 20%. But he ultimately ended up weighing in 2.7 pounds over. So. Yeah, he lost 30% of his wage, of his salary, of his hard-earned money that he worked hard for, that he's trained, he's given up his life to do. So that stings. So I don't know. I mean, and of course, if you get a habit of losing weight, and losing fights, then you can get cut. So I don't know. I can't speak for an individual. I only know that I've never done that. I don't think people generally make a habit of purposely missing weight and saying, fuck it, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on my performance. But you never know. Yoel Romero has had history in the past of, doing questionable things, shall we say, inside the octagon, grabbing fences, pouring water on his head, sitting on the stool, kicking people in the balls, and let's not forget pooing his own pants.
And steroids.
Oh yeah, of course. How could I forget the creme de la creme, the icing on the cake, the number one cardinal sin of combat sports? Obviously tested positive for steroids. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe this was all part of his plan. Somebody at Fox that I was working with at the weekend, they suggested such a thing, and I was like, ugh, I did an eye roll. I said, nobody would do that. You wouldn't do that at all.
Well, it's not so much that he would purposefully do it. What I'm saying is it comes down to time to lose the weight, and you weigh out the options on a table. Like you're saying, fuck, I'm going to miss weight, and if I kill myself trying to miss weight, I'm not going to be able to compete at my highest level tomorrow, so fuck it. At this point, the better move is win the fight, get the title shot, which Romero did. And Rockhold, before that fight, I mean, he was doing one interview where he was almost like kind of bizarrely, like he had his sunglasses on. He was like, he wouldn't, who was he talking to?
He was talking to Megan.
Yeah, she's so hot.
He was acting his normal, unlikable self, shall we say. He was trying to be too cool for school. He was giving bizarre answers, and he didn't come across too well. But that said, after you've just cut weight like that, I don't know how much weight he cut. I'm assuming, 15 pounds or so. You're never in a good place. But I will say this, as I say, I worked the weighing show, so I watched it very closely. I worked it for Fox, And Rockhold, when he walked out there, as I have done many times, there's a hand railing that goes up the steps to get onto the stage. Often I have to use that handrail to get up because, you're not in a good place. When you've cut that amount of weight,
you're really that drained.
Pardon me?
You're like that drained, like walking upstairs, doing physical activity. At that point, it's like...
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. You're very, very faint. You're very lightheaded. And, you're not exactly stable on your feet. So you have to hold that handrail. And then Rockhold, when he walked up, I could see that he was kind of, he wasn't sturdy on his feet. He used the handrail, he got on the scale, and, for want of a better description, he kind of looked like a heroin addict because he was so depleted. But that's what you do. I've been there many, many times. Yoel Romero on the other side, he did kind of walk on with a swagger, didn't seem too bad. And of course, he got on the scale and he was 3 pounds over. And he was like, me? 3 pounds? And, you know, he was kind of shocked. So you know damn fucking well that you're going to be 3 pounds over. You check your weight every 5 minutes when you're trying to cut weight. So he knew. Then he had 3 hours. He had to go back to the hotel. That's a 20-minute drive. Then you got to cut weight. Then you got to get back to the hotel. So I said, he's never going to make the weight. You know, as I said, once you get to a point where you're 3 pounds over and you get on the scale, you know your body's given up. So, you know, I think I saw it as an advantage for Rockhold, though. You know, even though Romero's going to be 3 pounds heavier, you know, Rockhold's winning those battles. He's winning the fact that he made weight. He's winning the fact that he was hydrating and taking on nutrients when Romero had to sacrifice another 2 hours. By sacrifice, I mean his body had to endure more physical toughness. You know, he had to endure being thirsty for longer, and the rehydration time is less. And not to mention the fact that Rockhold then takes 30% of his purse. So all these little battles, Rockhold's winning. He's winning the psychological battle, and that can affect people in the performance.
I wonder if, because
yeah.
he took 30% of his, this is kind of interesting. Rockhold took 30% of his purse. Technically, he got a lot more money in losing because I'm assuming Romero gets a win bonus.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all depends. I'm not sure how.
You have to do the math on it, but there's technically a scenario where he could have made more money to lose the fight. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but technically, if you kind of look at the numbers now.
Well, it all depends on people's individual contracts. You know, if they've got a big, if they've got a 50-50 split in terms of their show and win bonus, you know, oftentimes, and again, I haven't seen the contracts, oftentimes with title fights, you know, people can get a $500,000 flat fee. So maybe it was that. I mean, if that's what he was on, 30%, that's an extra $150,000 to Luke Rockhold there, which is obviously a very significant amount of money. So there you go. I mean, obviously, when the fight started, should we transition to the fight?
Yeah, please. You know, you would be able to break this down a lot better than anybody else. This was, in my opinion, a great fight, exciting fight. You know, for the most part.
I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I think it was kind of an uneventful fight. You know, I mean, Rockhold definitely won the first round, in my opinion. Second round, I gave it to Romero. But Rockhold was being, you know, I actually said in the first round, Rockhold was handling Yoel pretty well. Certainly when you compare Yoel Romero to a lot of other people, Rockhold was handling him. And when I say handling him, he was winning the fight. He was landing some nice push kicks, some nice teeps to the stomach. He was using his boxing, some nice jabs, some good, nice straight left hands. But that was mainly because Romero didn't do anything. He wasn't doing anything. He had a very, very uneventful round. And I don't know if that's because he knew he had a bad weight cut. He knew he had cardio issues. He took the fight on short notice. Who knows? But he looked like he was definitely trying to pace himself. Second round, they went out there. And this is when Romero started having success. He would stand back. He would let Rockhold come to him, which I thought was a bad idea. If you remember the way I knocked out Rockhold, that was him chasing me down. I threw a body shot and I came over with a left hook because he's coming into my space. He's coming into my striking range. Rockhold, the big advantage that he has is that he's so tall and so long. So therefore, he can stay. If this is me and he's there, he can hit me where I can't hit him. So he should have stayed on the outside and made Romero come to him, and therefore he could be the guy to pick him off as he comes in and then angle off. But it was the opposite. Rockhold was kind of stalking him. He was moving towards him. And then at times, Romero would just explode, push Rockhold up against the back fence, land a couple of shots, but Rockhold would escape. And that happened 2 or 3 times in the second round. And we all started to say when we were watching it, holy shit, you know, Rockhold's got to be careful here. And of course, third round, that's exactly what happened. Romero timed it well, exploded. Rockhold went straight back in a line, which is a cardinal sin. You don't do that. Generally, you want to take no more than 2 steps backwards. Take 2 steps back and then pick a direction, left or right. If you keep going back, you're too predictable. But that's what he did. He backed up against the fence. Romero landed a nice left hand.
Yeah,
put it down. He went down, he sat on his ass, kind of face planted, and then he came back up, and then boom. It was a beautiful uppercut from hell. But I got to say, if you see the knockout, there was a lot of striking similarities to the way I knocked him out.
Yeah, so one would say that without your knockout of Rockhold, Romero might not even be able to win that fight.
That's not what I'm saying, you fucking arsehole. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is you could see there was a lot of similarities.
Of course, it was literally the fucking left hook, and then you come in when he's down on his ass. It was almost exactly identical to it. It was pretty impressive. I don't know. There's this debate now, I guess. Is it fair that Romero is now getting a title shot, even though he missed weight in the interim title fight with Rockhold? What do you think about that? I posted a Twitter poll on BYM Pod.
We'll get to that in a minute. I'd rather talk about how after the fight, pardon me, Rockhold, I got to say, I kind of felt sorry for Rockhold. I really did. Listen, does he come across as a bit of a douche here and there? Does he, like that interview with the sunglasses on where Megan Levy, that was a prime example of what we're talking about, the type of behavior and things that Rockhold says. But still, I don't take pleasure from seeing somebody knocked out like that. I really don't. And he got knocked out and he looked... he just looked so devastated. He looked absolutely crushed. And then to make matters worse, to make it so much worse, Romero, the guy that just knocked him out, gets in his face, pins him up against the fence, has his arms over his shoulders like that. So Rockhold literally can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And he's professing his undying love for him. I love you. I don't know what he was saying. He had his eyes shut. There it is. Look at Rockhold there. He looks like he's fucking terrified. He really does. Romero's got his eyes shut. He's giving him a kiss. Look at Romero there.
Oh,
he really looks like he's making love.
It looks like he's being sexually assaulted.
It does. It looks like he's been sexually assaulted. But I've got to say, in that circumstance, and by the way, I'm not trying to knock any of the officials, but really, and happy Valentine's Day to them, too. It's quite the couple that they make there. I've got to say, they shouldn't allow that to happen in future because you got to remember.
They shouldn't allow him to start making out with him against the cage. You're right. I agree with you.
No, but think about it. He's just been knocked out. I know when I've been knocked out, you haven't got a clue what's going on. You haven't got a fucking jar of glue where your head's at. You don't know what's going on. You're trying to piece it back together. And then all of a sudden, you've got the guy that's just knocked you out with his arms around you up against the octagon, sexually assaulting you.
He's pulling a Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, He's like hashtag me too. Yeah. There's nothing to stop Rockhold there, elbowing him in the face. You know what I mean? Punching him in the... Because he might think the fight's still going on. Who knows? I just don't think they should allow... Certainly not Romero. Certainly not, come on. That was a little bit much. It was a little bit much.
Oh, it was great. It was just such a bizarre moment because Rockhold was so out of it. So, it seemed like a combination of shock and combination of him being truly fucking, rocked, right? And then Romero, I don't know what it is. In a weird way, I kind of like that part of Romero's personality because it's a cultural thing. I'm telling you right now, I don't know many Cubans, but I'm assuming going up to another man and saying, I love you, and, he's showing respect and he's kissing him and he...
Well, hold on. You said that he's showing respect. I gotta stop doing this. I noticed I do this a lot. You're doing it as well. We look kind of calm. Jazz
We're doing the mirror
all over the place, Ooh. No, but he did it to me. Remember at Madison Square Garden after he knocked out Chris Weidman. I love you, Mike. I love you. So I don't know what it is. He knocks people out. He's a very violent man. I think maybe Romero gets sexually turned on by knocking people out, and then therefore he just wants to profess undying love. Is Romero a married man?
I don't know. But maybe there is something to that. Or maybe, wait a minute, hold on. This is conspiracy theories here. Maybe we're going off on the limb. Maybe this is a little bit out of the ballpark, but we hear about guys taking things like Viagra before fights or, the John Jones thing, the dick pills. Maybe he's taking some dick pills.
Listen.
And the blood is rushing to his...
I've got no beef with Yo Romero, even though we've had some back and forth. You've got to respect what the guy's done, but this is going to really open up a whole fucking can of worms. So just to clarify, what are you suggesting is the motivation for Romero's actions here, Lewis?
I don't know. I think the reality is I think it's a cultural thing, and I think that kissing a man on the cheek and Latin cultures and it's much more of an appropriate thing. We just don't see it so much in the middle of an octagon where another man...
There's really nothing wrong with kissing a man on the cheek. Of course there isn't. But I just think after you've knocked them out cold, after you've taken away their dreams of being world champion, after you've literally maybe, You know, you've inflicted a lot of violence. The marks are visible. There's blood on his face. He's maybe lost some brain cells. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Pinning the guy up against an octagon and trying to make out with him is a little bit much.
Well, look, if you're going to try to sexually assault Luke Rockhold, that's the only time to do it. You're not if he's got his wits about him, you're not going to be able to get anything done.
You know, so but listen, all right. I think we've had enough fun with that one there.